Hey, what's up? You're watching Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith. Absolutely thrilled to have Stephon Marbury in the house.
Thank you.
What's up, man?
I'm Love, my brother.
Good to meet you.
Doing? Good to meet you as well.
A Kid From Coney Island. This documentary was fantastic. And it tells your story in a way that gives a little more depth, gives some time in China as well. What was it like seeing the final product?
I mean, you know, I was telling the assistant, the PR lady, I know her name, but I was talking to her in the car and telling her that I saw the documentary when the documentary came out, like for the first time.
Wow.
I didn't even see it to like say, oh, I didn't like. I completely had trust in Forrest Whitaker and Nina Bon Jovi, Chika and Cody. You know, that team together, you know, they made me feel like it's going to be okay and what we're going to do. And when somebody can do that when telling your story, it's a little different. And I mean, they told the truth. It's honest, it's encouraging, it's ups, it's downs. It shows where you can see failure happening, but you can also see there's some success. And then it just evolves into a piece where you're like, wow, there's a lot that happened. And I believe it speaks on the truth of what happened in my story in my life.
Yeah, I mean, you have a fascinating story. You've had these great moments. You've had some lows as well. And, you know, going back to the beginning, like you're a kid in Brooklyn, your family is super into hoops. Like, you got brothers that are playing basketball. There was a lot of pressure on you to be the next guy. What was it like dealing with that?
It was, you know, for me, it wasn't really pressure because I was receiving knowledge from people who have went down the path that I was trying to go down. So with having my brothers as a focal in mind and knowing that these guys played basketball, they went to college, big-time colleges, Georgia, played against Jordan, Texas A&M, another brother highly recruited, my brother Norman. Being able to speak with them and talk to them and, you know, see them play and, you know, take insight from them from how they played and what I need to do and incorporating. It was more about just becoming better and better. It wasn't never really pressure. It was just like, this is what you do. This is, you know, how you get to where you want to get to. You know, you always have that in your mind about, you know, you want to make it to the NBA because that's the goal. So that right there can be pressure, but you know that you're working hard and you're better or playing with guys that you can compete with at a high level and you know, be efficient. So for me, that's what it was really about. It really never really was pressure.
I mean, you enjoyed it. You were playing against guys that were older than you. You played for the Gauchos, which of course was a great spot. What do you remember about those early days when you were playing some of the best in New York?
I mean, playing in New York, you play against everybody that got that same attitude as you. So it just comes down to the game because it's a mental thing in playing in New York, you know, because we talk a lot of trash.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you make 5 in a row, you playing ball.
I'm going to try and one-up you here.
You're right. You're going to start talking on the court like, oh, I'm hot, I'm good, I'm hot. So that's us. And for me, you know, playing against guys that I grew up playing in AAU or the AAU circuit and playing in high school and 5-star and All-American camp, you play against those same New York City guards and playing against the older guys. It's always a challenge. It's always a mental challenge. It's always, you know, who's been working harder. You know, you can see who's been focusing on their game from one summer to the next game, next summer, you know, in the games that you play. So, you know, having those opportunities to play against all of the guys that I played against, it helped prepare me for not only the NBA, but for China as well.
When did you first hear about Felipe Lopez?
I mean, I knew about Felipe, like, early.
Like how old?
I mean, we were all the same age, like 13, 14, 15 years old. You know, they were talking about this Dominican kid.
And he gets some love in the doc, too.
Of course, yeah. I mean, all of the people who were there, who know, they were able to speak about it. Guys like Cameron, people didn't even know Cameron played ball. Like he was nice.
He had some game, right?
Yeah, he could play. He won the championship in high school. They beat us. You know, so a lot of people don't know that. So when he say that, he be like, yeah, we beat Stephon them. So it's a moment, you know.
Definitely.
It's a moment. And it's good that you can hear those things and you can be reminded of that.
Absolutely. We need to be reminded of that. That's why I love that you have people from the community talking about your story, because they're talking about Rafer Alston, they're talking about Felipe, they're talking about you.
Of course.
What was it like hearing from those guys talking about you?
It was great. That's what we do, hearing them speak about me in that context, and to know that these people watched me play from a young age all the way up until I retired. I mean, they've seen footage, they've watched online, they've watched on TV, TNT, ESPN, all of these different platforms. They've seen me. They know. So when they're speaking and talking about what they're talking about, they're giving real valid viewpoints from what they saw to the audience, which a lot of people they didn't see.
Right.
You know, so this refreshes everyone's mind. It's a reboot.
Definitely. So you get to Lincoln, life starts to change for you, become this big household name. When did life really flip for you in high school?
When did it change? I would say when we won the championship, which was getting ready to go to college. You know, winning a high school championship. None of my brothers won a high school championship, and I was the only one that won. And I won in my senior year, so it was my last chance.
It's a big deal.
It's a super big deal. All my brothers, and my little brother was on the team as well. So him and I won together.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he was a freshman, so he has a ring as well. So he went through the whole process in trying to win the championship. So collectively, we all vicariously lived through each other.
That high school class of '95 was amazing.
Kevin Garnett.
Chris Webber.
No,
Webber?
No,
it was too early.
It was Kevin Garnett, Chauncey Billups. Sharif Abdul-Rahim. I said Kevin, right?
Yep,
I said Garnett.
You got big ticket, yeah. You guys were stacked. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we had a class. We had a nice class.
Can we talk?
Shamgar was.
Yeah, Shamgar was great. Can we talk about this McDonald's All-American getting your ears pierced story? What's the deal with that?
We all got our ears pierced?
You guys had the cotton swabs on your ears.
Yeah, everybody had ears.
Whose idea was that?
I don't know. Probably Kev or Sham or mine, all of us. I mean, we all made decisions together in the group during those times. Like, yo, let's do this. Like, yeah, let's do that. We changing the game. You know, we were on that. We were on that, being game changers.
So you go to Tech. Why was Georgia Tech the spot? Because your dad wanted you to go to Cuse, like there were some other schools. Why was it Georgia Tech?
You know, the story is Boeheim came to my house, and the first thing he said to us when I was a lock for Syracuse. I wanted to go to Syracuse. I was dying to go to Syracuse. And Jim Boeheim came into my house on my home visit, and we sat down and we were getting ready to talk, and the first thing he utters out of his mouth is, well, I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to start you as a freshman.
Ooh.
My brothers got up and walked out, and my mom was like sitting there like, well, why would you say that out of all things? Like, why couldn't it have been you're going to work hard and you're going to blah, blah, blah. I guess he really didn't want me to come to Syracuse.
So that was it. It was a wrap at that point.
Boom. After that, it was dead. As soon as he said that, I was like, I'm not going there. And I was like, I saw the Carrier Dome go right before my eyes. 32,000 people, 40,000 people. I was like, oh man, I'm not about to play there. That's over with. And then Bobby Crimmins came and he was like, I'm gonna put the ball in your hand and let you do what you want to do.
Like, now we're talking, right?
That's exactly what I said. No, that's exactly what my mother said. She said, now we talking.
Well, now he knows what's up.
I was like, come on.
Thank you. Yeah. Do you know who I am? Come on, man.
Man, it's crazy.
So you get to Tech. You guys had a good run there. What stands out the most in your mind about that experience?
Tech. A lot of people got a chance to see me defensively.
Yeah, they didn't get a lot of that in high school because it was all the scoring.
Right. I made first team all defensive team. I was happy about that. And Tim Duncan won Defensive Player of the Year. So I came in second.
Wow.
We're the only team that beat Duke and North Carolina at home and away. Georgia Tech that year. Georgia Tech. That's our school. We never beat both Duke and North Carolina in the same year, home and away. And helping go to the Sweet 16. I mean, to see the energy from not making the tournament to going to the tournament, you know, as a college freshman, when you see that, you can feel that energy right away. I mean, you're a part of it. You don't know how it felt when they didn't win and when they didn't go advance to the tournament. So now you hear people talk about like, oh, they're gonna go to the tournament. Like, why wouldn't we go to the tournament?
Right.
In my mind,
Yeah,
like,
you knew you were going.
To the tournament. Yeah, we going to the tournament. We gonna win. When I first signed with them, we had 27 games on national TV, Georgia Tech. I never forget. And when I got to the school, people were like, man, you guys on TV all the time. I'm
Never
like,
happened at
man.
Georgia Tech, yeah.
Like all the time we on TV. I'm like, this is a great opportunity. So I got a chance to showcase in front of America when I was in college.
Did you know you were going to the league after 1 year?
Yeah, I said when I was in high school, if I'm a top 5 player pick coming out of college, I'm coming out. And I made that clear before I went to Georgia Tech. Like that was already something that I said. That's probably one of the reasons why Behan.
He knew it was just a one and done for you.
It's like, this is one and done, it's over with. But now this is one and done is a thing.
Yeah, or people not even going to college,
Yeah,
right?
it's a thing.
Yeah.
They probably might change the rule back. So, because these kids now, they're dynamic. They're different.
There's some guys that are ready to go to the league right after high school.
It's amazing.
Right. And
It's
like when
amazing.
Garnett did it, it was such a big deal. I mean, nobody was doing it.
Kobe,
Yep.
you know, Kev, Jermaine O'Neal. I mean, I think I understand why the NBA would be afraid of guys coming out, because if things don't go well, how their lives are after
Right.
that.
What's their infrastructure?
It's pretty challenging. But now you got basketball all over, so you know, you can't play in the NBA. You got China, you got Europe, you got Spain,
A lot of different options.
You got a bunch of different options. Basketball is global, as I said. It would be 11, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when people weren't paying mind to the things that I was saying.
Right.
It was like, he's crazy.
But you're like, there's this huge market of the Far East that loves basketball.
300. I told somebody earlier, there's 300 million people that play basketball in China. You could check it, Google it, whatever.
Oh yeah, it's
Right.
massive.
Exactly. So I was telling somebody, I was like, my man, there are more people that play basketball than there are people here in America breathing.
Think about that for a second.
I'm like,
that puts it all in perspective.
Yeah, I'm trying to give perspective about, you know, what it really is and how people should perceive China in basketball.
Definitely. So let's go 96 draft. Super emotional day for you and your family.
Amazing.
You get traded for Ray Allen. What
Yes.
sticks out the most about that night?
The love and we finally here. We finally did it. We waited 20 years for a moment. Like literally, we worked tireless until we got to that point where we were able to be inside that green room as a family. I mean, you look at my family when my name got announced, and you look at my family. When you look at my family, you look at other people. I mean, other people, they probably didn't have as many people.
It was a big squad. Yeah.
But my squad, because there's 9 of us. I mean, all my brothers and sisters, right? And you can see the relief on everyone's face. Like, we knew the day was here, the day was coming. You know, we knew all of these different steps that we had to take to get to this moment, and then finally we're inside of that room that we worked so hard to get into, and then, you know, it was just the best feeling, amazing.
Yeah, really incredible.
Yeah.
So you, Kevin Garnett in Minnesota, you're a 19-year-old kid in the middle of Minnesota.
Yes.
It's snowy,
Different.
life kind of sucks, a little different. But you guys on the court, I mean, you guys have been boys for a long time, but what clicked right away for you guys?
We just had a feel for each other. I loved his game, he loved my game. I mean, it was a nice tandem, and us playing together. It was something that was different, where people would be able to refer to us as Stockton and Malone. But it was different, though, because we had different styles, Stockton and Malone, 2 different styles in how we play the game, and which was eras, right? You know, it was one era, and then there's another era. And I think, for me, being able to have that opportunity to have played with such a great player, I mean, it was great for me for moving forward in my career and seeing other great players, guys like Amari Stoudemire, you know, guys like Sean Marion, you know, Joe Johnson. You see these guys who have developed into these players, and you're able to give them some of the same knowledge that you have and you receive from playing with guys like Kevin.
Your brother says in the doc you guys would have won a championship in Minnesota.
Yeah.
You believe that?
You never know.
Do you wonder if it had gone on a little bit longer, what it would have looked like? Or were you just kind of done with Minnesota as a city at that point?
I mean, it wasn't. I mean, it was it was an opportunity for me to go and have a life and play basketball. I mean, I wasn't so consumed in court into the fact of, I love playing with Kevin, but I knew that as a business, that's a business. But for my life, I really didn't want to give 7 more years of my life.
That's a long time.
It's a long time. And people didn't want to see that. They thought that, oh, you guys are great. This is what it's about. I was like, yeah, I got it. But at the same time, I still got to live. I wake up, I got to do this, I got to do that. Before you see the finished product, this is what I got to do. And I want to, I made a decision for me to be able to, have a life and still play basketball at the same time. So, it just went in another direction.
I feel you mentioned the young guys from Phoenix, Amari, Joe Johnson, Sean Marion. What sticks out about playing with those guys at that point in their career?
I mean, those guys were dogs, and they just needed, like Joe Johnson specifically. When I seen him in Boston, I was like, wow, this kid is great when we got him in the trade. It was more so Paul Pierce was there.
Right.
So there really wasn't any room.
You couldn't be Joe Johnson with Paul Pierce there.
No, it's gonna be hard. So when I was playing with him and recognized that, I was like, this dude can play the point, the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5. He's 6'8". He can handle the ball. It's freaky. Yeah. Right. It was just him playing at that same speed all the time, and that's what he developed. And I used to pump and push him like, you nice, you know how good you are, you so good. And, he'll listen and hear it, and then you can see as time was going on, he started to implement all of those theories and those thoughts of things that I was saying to him and pumping inside of his brain for him to go on the court and do that because he was capable of doing that.
Yeah, I feel you. So you were an All-Star a couple different times. You had that 01 All-Star game where you're hitting the back-to-back threes. What was the coolest part of that? That's got to be one of the top moments in your career, right?
I mean, for a game, yeah, people will recognize that as definitely being one of the top games that was played. I mean, the All-Star game now, it looks like it's just for fun. Right. Playing in the All-Star game for us growing up, that was a game. Yeah. Like, that's the game of games that you want to play in. And playing during that time, I was like, man, I'm finally here. If you look, when I came out, I was like, I'm here now. I'm here now. Finally, I'm here. Like, finally, I've arrived. I came here. I'm here. And getting on that stage and that platform, I knew that I was capable of playing with these guys at this level. I've done it and playing against guys in the regular season, like really doing it in a way that was different. And getting on the court, playing and making those threes, it was, it was a moment. Like, nobody ran to the ball when I took the ball out and was going up the court. They was like, you got it.
Like, you're the guy. Yeah, do
you know
your
what I'm
thing.
saying? You just hit one, go. So it wasn't, it was fun. It was fun to be in that moment, to be in that stage, on that platform.
Definitely. So you had love from the guys on the court and then off the court.
Always.
I mean, Fat Joe, you were doing his thing at Rucker Park for a while. And One was the cultural movement for a long time. I mean how cool was it to build that life off the floor as well?
Yeah, nobody even played. I mean, kids don't even know who started And One. And One had T-shirts when I started with And One. I'm the one that gave And One the face for shoes, clothes, hats, bags.
Yeah, they weren't in the NBA like that.
It wasn't. Yeah. No, I had them on the scroller in Minnesota. They were scrolling And One ads up. Pushing it, having their picture on the arena, breaking ankles. People seeing that like, oh.
Here in New York, also people were seeing it.
I know. Yeah. So that whole movement and culture, I created that whole thing. I did that. So for me, when I see people talking about shoes and talking about the things that they're doing, I'm like, I did that already.
You're like, bro, I've been there.
I did Ustream. I was the one Ustreaming, doing live broadcasting when you were saying I was crazy 10 years ago. Now everybody does it. IG Live. Yep. It's classic.
Yeah, you've always been a little bit ahead, even like the Starberries, for example. I mean, listen, shoes. I had a pair of Starberries.
Come on.
Love those things. Played them.
You're not going to have a pair. You got to at least buy it just to say, I got a pair.
Absolutely. And you had so many great moments in giving them to kids, too.
Of course,
what was the dopest part of that for you?
The parents being able to tell their story about how they couldn't and now they can.
Yeah,
that was the
big.
best part about that.
Because the shoes were $200. I mean, who's going to be able to afford those in a lot of different areas of the country?
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. We here. We still doing it. We still in motion.
Yeah, I feel you.
We trying.
So why don't we skip forward? You get traded to the Knicks. You're a New York guy. You've been a Knicks fan your whole life. I mean,
Yes.
when you came to the city, it was huge
The
news.
best.
What do you remember about that time in your life when you first became a Knick?
When I first became a Knick, when I came here, I saw my name on the board when I was driving up. Stephon Marbury is back home. So this whole vision and this imagery of me coming back home and playing inside the Garden after, you know, so many years of not playing there, wanting to get drafted by the Knicks, but knowing that possibility during that time, because they were pretty decent, that wasn't going to happen. But then getting the opportunity to play, it was great. It was something that I needed for my basketball life, you know, as far as having something inside you as a basketball player when you get on the court and you play. That excitement, that love, that fanfare, the hate, the boos, all of that. It's a cycle with the Knicks. If you're not hot, if you're not doing good, you cold. If you're doing good,
They'll let you know,
hot.
right?
Period. That's the Garden.
Yeah.
Like, yo, Marbury, you stink. They make you go harder.
Yeah, you gotta take it on stride.
Of course, that's what it is. I'm from New York. I was one of those kids like, yo, you's a bum, son. So, you know, you give it, you take. You throw a punch,
Absolutely.
you got to be able to take one. That's growing up from New York. You know, growing up in New York. So when you from that, and you know the back page, you know the front page. You're like, if you're on the front and the back, oh, it's definitely something going on.
That happened to you a lot here in New York.
Of course. A lot of papers were sold.
Yes,
a lot of papers.
How do you put the Knicks perspective? How do you put the Knicks time into perspective? Because you guys made the playoffs, the Larry Brown stuff, the Isaiah Thomas stuff. It never fully clicked.
It was just an experience. You know, a bunch of people dealing on a platform in which that platform wasn't a platform like San Antonio or the Lakers or Boston, the Lakers, San Antonio.
Right, so what's the difference between the Knicks and the Spurs?
It's just different people who are doing what they're doing. I mean, when the organization is going to do what it's going to do financially, so there's no hurt there.
Right. People are still coming. Yeah,
still
you guys were a
come.
21 team. People are still selling that place out.
Actually, I don't even want to talk about the Knicks if they're doing good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's ridiculous.
Actually, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to talk about that. They won 3 in a row.
Right.
Oh, they're not going to win 4.
Right.
Like, that's the energy. Like, whereas you go to Boston, it's like they in the game, they in it. You know, they stick with them through and through. Knicks, nah, you losing, we gonna let you know. Yo, you whack, you bum, son. All that. I mean, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a culture.
Definitely.
And sadly, you know, some people may not agree with it, but that culture is what keep us going in New York.
I feel you. It's a New York complex. It definitely is.
You gotta, like, especially if you're from New York, you really understand that. So I'm speaking in depth and into the minds of people from New York that really know and understand that. Some people, you know, people from different places, like, I just don't get it. I don't understand. I'm like, I know you don't get it.
You spend a little time here, you'll get it. You go to the Garden,
yeah, you
get
stay in more than 15 years, 10, 15 years, you live in New York, you're gonna get it right away.
Yeah.
100%. People, my friend from China was like, oh, people in New York are so mean. I was like, look, you got to get to know them.
Right. They're a very special breed of people.
You got to get to know them. You just got to get to know them. Once you get to know them, you're going to like, yo, that's my homeboy from New York.
Exactly.
You're going to be telling me when you're from New York, right? Like, yo, that's my man. Trust me, he's so cool.
Who were your favorite guys on the Knicks? Because it was Crawford, Eddie Curry, Zach Randolph, Nate. I mean, who were some of the guys that stick out?
I mean, all of the guys who came, they all could play. We just weren't able to put it together. You know, so many different changes, so many different.
I mean, so many different head coaches, so many different players.
There's a lot going on, so it's hard to create that stability, which, you know, it's a challenge. You try to adjust. You're dealing with different moves. You're dealing with different people who want this and who want that. So, you know, it's a little challenging, but it is what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Ustream before. Can you just tell me where you were at in your life? Because like it feels like a lot was going on off the court. Mental health wasn't the same conversation we were having back then. So where were you at as just a person back then?
I mean, during that time when I was having fun. I was utilizing the platform. I think when people saw me eating Vaseline, I was like, your dad. I tell people, I'm like, your dad smokes crack and your mom sniffs coke. You talking about me eating Vaseline? I'm like, come on, man.
Let's
Wait
chill
a
for a
minute.
second.
Let's
It
chill
caught
out
people
for a
off
second.
guard. Let's put it that way.
It doesn't matter if it caught people off guard. It's not as bad as somebody doing that.
Agreed.
So it can't be in that same category. It's nowhere near. It's nothing happening to me. Nothing was going on. You just were seeing me in a different light other than what you normally see me when I'm doing a CBS interview.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
you were unwinding at that point. I mean,
I
how
was
long did you do this stream for?
I was being myself. I'm like, you don't know me outside of basketball or anything other than that. You only see me in this way. If you knew my family and my cousins, you'd be like, yo, did he really just throw the cat on his head? You know, but
Well, they know you, right? They know what you're getting into.
exactly.
We
But
didn't. Yeah.
I think, you know, during that time, everybody was a little bit scared. Do you see the stuff that goes on Instagram TV now?
Oh, it's wild now.
The stuff
Steph,
that I
10
was
years
doing,
ago,
I got it.
you didn't know.
I know you didn't know. That's the point, right? You didn't know.
Yep.
Now you
knew.
know.
Yeah.
But I knew what was going on.
Right, you're just testing some things out there.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I didn't even do nothing during this time. Like when you look at what I did and what I was saying, and you look at what people are doing and what they're saying,
Right.
you like, hold up, this is not even, we don't even want to compare the time. But when people aren't ready and they're not used to it, it's a little bit different, which is understandable.
Yeah, the
It's
first
like if
person
you see
through
an
is always
alien-
gonna get more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you see an alien walking on the street, you're going to be like, yo, what, yo. But if
You'll be
you see
freaking
it
out a
all the
little bit.
time and it's happening, you be like, yo, that's John.
Yep, that's just Steph.
Yeah, exactly. That's just stuff.
Exactly. So you go to China, and it feels like you found peace there. You found fulfillment, and they made you a god over there. So when you think about China,
No,
what is
not a god.
But what is the most profound thing when you think about with China?
When I think about China, I think about love. That's what I think about. I think about how they treated me during the time and what I needed. I needed to have that type of support from people who love basketball, that was happy that I was coming someplace where I was going to entertain. And they gave me that opportunity to be able to share who I was as a human being. I was completely transparent with them, telling them, look, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was asking me the same question. I felt like when I was in my first press conference, like I was in America, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
These same questions that, I was like, okay, so you're asking me what was already asked so you can know. And I answered them, and then I said to them, I said, do me a favor, men and women, go by what you see and you hear when you want to judge me from here on out, and then we'll be okay. And they were like, that's fine, no problem. And here we are.
Yeah.
Basically, all of the things that have happened with playing basketball. So it was an amazing journey to embark on during this time of my life after experiencing all of what I was experiencing. The Ustream, like people feeling a certain way. That's your feeling. I don't care about that. That's how I felt about it.
That's how you should feel about it.
My
That's
father
you.
dying. I'm like, I can't cry from listening to a gospel song
Right.
about my pops dying.
And I think
I'm
it's
telling you
important to
that.
talk about that because that was such a big loss in your life.
Yeah.
And you were just trying to spill it all out.
I'm like, it's okay for me. I'm crying. I'm allowing you to see. You know, I can close my computer, right? Like,
but you're allowing us to peek behind the curtain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was giving, and what people weren't able to accept was the real and what it was that I was giving, which is understandable. But you see people now. It's murders happening online.
Right.
Like, let me film
It's
this.
a lot
let me
different
show
than
you.
what it was
I'm
10
like,
years ago.
I wasn't pumping that.
Right.
I wasn't pumping that at all. It's a reason why millions of people flipped their phone on to see what I was going to do next. And, you know, I knew that.
And now people are using Instagram to open up about their mental health, depression.
It's a beautiful platform.
It's awesome. And
It's
you were just
great.
early on that.
It's great for people to be able to share. You can help somebody. It may not, everyone isn't going to agree with your message or what it is that you're saying. But if you're not on it, I'm not on there cursing, got girls doing drugs and talking. I
were just
wasn't
letting the
doing
emotions
that.
run
I wasn't
out.
doing any
That's
of
all.
that. I was talking, answering questions about basketball, talking about that, letting people see into my life. The same thing that they doing right now
Yep.
with Kim Kardashian. I'm like, you watch that? I'm like, I
Yep.
get it, but I understand. But like that,
Why
like,
are people freaking out about me?
stop?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I get it, I understand, but you know, you got people that aren't figures becoming figures,
Right.
and they're doing what and how they're helping the earth and the people who they're speaking and talking to, like, nah, I'm good on that. I'm not teaching my grandchildren that. My grandkids.
Wow. Do you wonder what your life would have looked like with social media as a high school kid?
I need to take a drink of water.
How wild would that have been?
I told the dude today when Georgia Tech picked me up, they picked me up on a Learjet.
Yeah.
And they brought me, as ABC said, they whisked Stephon Marbury to Atlanta.
That was a pretty dope ride, right?
I mean, what? I was on a plane in high school at 17, 18 years old. Like, yo, did they really send a plane for me?
Yeah, your brother was like, he's definitely going to Georgia
They really
Tech.
want me to come here. I'm like, how do you say no to this?
It's hard to say no to that.
Dude's like, oh, you going to come back to play in the NBA? I'm like, they're building a statue. How do I leave that?
Right.
No, I'm not leaving that. I'm sorry.
You were comfortable. Listen, you could have been a vet minimum guy, and instead you decided to become a cultural icon in China.
First of all, I'm not a vet minimum guy.
Well, at that time, I'm not saying you're vet.
No,
Trust me, I know.
I know. What I'm saying is that's the reason why I left. I was like, I was willing to take the vet minimum to play.
What were the offers? Who were the teams?
I went to Boston and asked them for the maximum vet minimum.
Max vet minimum.
Yeah, and Danny Ainge said no. And I said, all right, cool, no problem. Thank you for allowing me to come at the end of my career. I thought it was the end of my career at that time. Like, I'm leading towards the end. Thank you. Not even recognizing I got so much more gas in the tank to go 22 years and play.
It's wild.
Yeah, like, so it shows you how the mind and the body, once it connects, how it can actually really, how it can go.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how long you're still playing.
A lot of people,
really
people like, you still play basketball? I was like, yeah, man, I'm still playing. I love it. I can still do it. And then when they watch it, like, yo, you 40 years old, you still doing that? Yep. I'm like,
I'm not surprised by that. Come on, you've always had the gift.
For me, I know my work ethic. I know how I train, so I know I can continue to play and play at a high level. So, but to other people, they're looking at 40-year-old guys playing. Like, I'm still using my first step.
Right. You always had that quick first step.
Yeah, I'm still using my first step. So that's when I said, that's when I was like, I'm retiring. I was like, my first step, I got to use 2 steps now.
That's what you do.
I'm like, I'm done.
I'm out.
I'm like, no, I can't blow by you the way I want to blow you. I don't want to keep doing that and that. I'm not doing all of that.
Do you like watching hoops still?
I love it.
Yeah?
I mean, I'm a coach.
I know. But are you watching the NBA still?
I watch sometimes. Yeah. I like watching New Orleans now. I love Zion, but I like the way they play.
So why's that?
You know, they play with that same type of that energy, like how we play in Minnesota with KG and myself, and also, you know, that same energy like when I play with the Suns with Joe Johnson, Sean, and Amari. They got that type of feeling when I watch them. They're exciting, and you don't know what's gonna happen. You know, like Lonzo Ball, he took a bad shot last night, right? Instead of he was trying to get a 3, but he had an open lane to go to the basket. But because he was knocking down threes, and he doesn't normally make three-pointers like that, he got comfortable with shooting that shot. You know what I'm saying? So he's probably watching the film like, damn, I should have drove that.
Should have gone to the rack, right?
I could have went to the rack. We could have got a. But you know, so I like watching it from that aspect, watching them from that aspect, and seeing their growth and their development as a team. So they're really exciting. Yeah. Ingram, he's coming into his own.
He's taking a big step this year.
He's coming into his own.
But so much of the NBA now is three-point shooting, and guys not going to the rim, and it's much different than when it was.
A lot of people don't really know how to go to the rim.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I see a lot of guys, they go to the basket, it's like they doing one-hand flip shots. I'm like, everybody can't do that like Kyrie Irving.
Right.
Nobody's really going at the big guy and hitting him first, and then creating that contact, and then getting the and one, and then making the 3. I mean, the foul shot for the three-point play. Like, that was our mentality.
Right.
You go straight line. You know, a lot of guys now, they got all these Euro step. I tried to do a Euro step one time. I almost blew my ankle. I was like, hold on. I'm good. I was like, it's good if you know how to do that, but it's also dope when you could just go straight through and just
absorb the contact and go for the three-point play.
100%. So you know it's grown. I love the way how it. And now in the NBA, you can't touch nobody. No hand check.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Like, oh my God, if they had no hand check.
Can you imagine the freedom of space you would have had?
Oh my God.
I mean, you were averaging 20 a game for several seasons.
I'm just thinking, Michael Jordan with no hand check.
Oh. That's not even fair.
I'm trying to think what he would like average.
I mean, he was averaging in the 30s. Think
He
about
was
that.
already like 36,
Yep.
37, 38 1 year. Oh my God.
He could have probably popped it into the 40s, plus the three-point shooting. Because he was only taking like 2 threes a
He
game.
didn't really shoot three,
No.
all twos.
Yeah.
A whole lot of
All
twos.
mid-range.
Man, and that's one of the lost arts, passing
Yep.
and shooting.
Bro, the spin pass from you, I mean, come on. Nobody's doing that anymore.
I mean, somebody was like, how did you practice? I was like, you know what? I promise you. When I did that, I didn't even know I was going to do that. It just happened. It just happened like that. I only did that pass maybe 2 or 3 times ever in my career.
I think you almost took Tim Thomas's head off one time. There's a really cool part in the documentary. We were talking about it off camera. You're in the barbershop. There's a young kid in there, and you said, hey, you can do anything. You could even be president one day. What was the dopest part of that experience for you?
That was the best part of the doc to me. That at that moment, it became real in the moment, and the moment didn't move until he said, oh, nobody never told me that.
Yeah.
And that's when you realize, like, okay, this is what it's about. It's like a kid from Coney Island. It's like, it's my story, but it's about a kid. You know what I'm saying?
It's the next generation.
It's the next generation and generations to come. A kid from Coney Island. I'm from Coney Island. So when kids tell people, I'm from Coney Island, I'm a kid from Coney Island, they got that badge
that swag
on their chest now. And they could wear it proud. Like, I'm a kid from Coney Island. Like, I'm trying to do something on this earth in my life. That's what it's about.
What do you think is the hardest challenge you had to overcome throughout this whole journey?
Keep going. Like, constantly like, oh no, we're gonna do this. We're gonna breathe through this. We're gonna live through this. We're gonna accept, you know, our wrongs, and we're gonna keep making our rights come out so that not only for people, but for self and what it is that you're doing as a human being. Because we all gotta do something, right? You can't just not do nothing. You gotta do something. No. You can't just sit and don't do nothing.
You can't be lazy like that.
Nobody don't want to be around nobody that's, nobody want, not when you gotta do it.
Sure.
Like I tell my son, if you think, like my son is, from little kid, he been doing push-ups, and I'm telling him, I said, if you think that that's just going to happen the way you look at your age because it's just gonna happen genetically, you bugging. You gotta work to do that. Just like you gotta work if you wanna be a good basketball player. So for me, I kept going. I didn't stop. I didn't allow me not playing in the NBA to stop me. I didn't know that. If somebody told anybody, yo, if you go there, you're going to be able to have a museum. You're going to be able to have
a statue?
2 statues.
Oh, 2 statues.
Yeah, 2 statues. Exactly. Like,
you never could have seen that coming.
No, how?
How? You're a kid in Coney Island. The ball takes you to China.
100%. I'm like, no way. Like, so my point in what I'm saying is that I couldn't dream that and then come tell someone that, yo, I had a dream that they gonna be like, you had a bad dream.
Yeah, you're tripping, yeah.
You know, so for me, when I see it all, like after it's done, this is the time to do the doc. It's time for people to see. Like, it's fresh. You serve the food, you put the food on the table, it's still hot. You know,
and we had a little time away from the food. Now we want to eat it again.
Yeah, it's good. Now it's a positive. It's a positive flow. It's a positive thing.
Definitely. So you've always been a step ahead. What's the next thing for you?
I got this basketball that I'm trying to actually, you know, get people to understand. And when you play basketball, it's like we put a filter on the basketball. I figure, why not just do something as far as business? Why not do something that I know, something that I do? And this new ball that I got.
Oh, that's a shiny one that?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, so what is that? Yeah, I saw that on Instagram, yeah.
So, you know, my ball is, when you're playing with the ball, it's just a regular basketball, right? You see it, you're like, oh, what does it do? But everything is content driven now.
Right.
Right, everything is about content. When they see it, they look at it, they be like, oh, that's crazy right away, right? Swipe and pause and purchase. That's what people do, right? So what I created was a ball that people can play with. So when people are filming, they like, yo, this looks crazy. You know what I'm saying? But the people who playing, they can't see it. They don't know. They like looking at it like, what are you talking about?
So you're telling me that's a regular ball, but
It's
when
a
you
regular
film it, it
basketball,
looks like that?
But when you film it, it
Wow.
flashes. So
No
it's
way.
like Pokemon will be done. Like, oh, that's the ball.
I saw you playing with that. I'm like, what the hell is he doing with that
so
thing?
now what we did was people start copying it.
Yeah.
So people start knocking it off. But I knew people were going to knock it
Obviously.
off. It's normal.
Yep.
So what I went and did was I created something that you can, because the other ball is really slippery. I told people, I was like, look, this ball is a show ball and to make videos and make cool content. That's it. Right? But then I made a ball that you could play with in the NBA. So that's what I'm focused on right now because I feel like, you know, basketball isn't going anywhere.
It's going to be here for a while.
It's going to be here for a while. Right? So if everyone now is content driven and everyone, the first thing people do with their phone is this.
Yep.
Right? everybody picks up their phone. They picked up their phone right away. They're trying to get it out, and then they want to film.
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible, right? So I'm like looking at it like, okay, well, if you're gonna do that anyway, and then I give you something that you can see that's crazy and dope. When you filming it, you're gonna take that content and you're gonna upload.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's what I'm working on.
Do you have a
right
name
now.
for the ball?
Yes.
Okay. You keep
Glow ball.
The glow ball.
The glow ball.
I like it.
Yeah.
Good deal. Hey, really nice to meet you, man.
Love.
Starberry. Thanks a lot, man.
All right.
Why don't you tell everybody when they check out the documentary?
March 10th. Check it out. A Kid from Coney Island. Love is love. Peace.
There you go. For Steph, I'm DJ. See you next time here on The Sit Down.